Hi everyone, with us today we have Dr. Bhandari. He is a psychiatrist at the A.V. Balega Hospital in Karnataka. He is here with us today to discuss about some mental health issues that we all know is so prevalent right now in the society around us. So, welcome to the talk show, Dr. Bhandari.
Yeah.
So, what do you exactly mean by a mental health issue? Like, what are its symptoms?
See, basically, one thing is it is very difficult to say who is healthy and who is not. Because I'll tell you, if they visit a psychiatrist, probably they will get a diagnosis. There are many who do not visit a psychiatrist despite a illness. Then there are many whom the world perceives as if they are deviating from the normal. This question of normalcy is very difficult, but still, as a psychiatrist, I would say somebody who is harming himself. Okay, somebody who is harming himself or harming others. Somebody who was normal, suddenly has lost interest in his social and occupational functioning. Okay, such people, they can be labeled as having some health issue, that is mental health issue.
Okay.
And many a times what happens is it's not so easy. There are instances where these illnesses they are identified by others, but a patient doesn't accept that he is having the illness. Many a times people interpret their behaviors saying that they are ill. So basically, the broad definition I would give is somebody who indulges in harm to self or others, somebody who is found to have social, occupational, and in case of students, academic decline, which is not explainable by any physical health issue. This is what I would say is the broad definition for these mental health issues.
So basically, you come across a lot of controversies between a patient and a doctor in regard to a mental health issue, you're trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you talk to someone or help someone with a mental health condition?
See, the first thing is trying to convince them. See, what happens is the society, it has defined mental health in such a way that accepting some mental health issue has become a very big stigma. Nobody will say I am mentally, if somebody tells me, look doctor, there is something wrong with you, I may not accept it. I may not accept it because by accepting it, I may fear that I will be stigmatized for my entire life.
Okay.
So we need to be very careful before we brand anybody as psychiatrically ill. And it is always better not to tell them that this is you seem to have a mental health issue. This I don't think anybody likes it. So it's always better talk to them, listen to them. See, often what I feel is many people don't listen to, they just make some interpretations. They say, look, you are not well, your behavior is not proper. We never say why that behavior is not proper. We never analyze, we never ask him for his side of the story. So what I would suggest is sit with the person whom you feel he requires help. Such a person, what you need to do is give him your ear, not your mouth. This is often what happens is we give our mouth, we give them lot of advice. See, it is better you see a psychiatrist. I think there is something really wrong with you. This nobody will like. Better listen to them, then tell them, look, what are the options available for us? And especially if you find a person talking about suicide, who is making suicidal gestures, or if there is a person who is talking irrelevantly, or if there is a person who is talking of things which are unexplainable, when you sit with him for a chat, you feel that there are certain unexplainable things. It is always better convince him, look, we can take professional help. And also then probably explain to him that it is better, and in case you are in colleges or schools or your institutions, try to find out whether there is a counseling center in your college or your institution. Take their help, so that there will be trained counselors there. They will be able to convey to these people the need for counseling, or the need to visit a specialist. You telling them, I think it is usually not liked. That's what I have seen by my experience. When friends tell them, because I see a lot of patients who come and tell us later, actually 4 years ago my classmate told me, but I didn't listen. I think I should have listened. So this is what probably is the best thing. But of course, again, the problem is not many institutions have these counseling centers. That is something probably it is the need of the hour now. Okay.
I really hope listening to this conversation of ours, people will, make their belief more strong in how important mental health is, and more institutions will open such counseling sessions for students, and not just students, anybody, the faculty, the general public. More mental health institutions should be opened for everyone to seek help.
Correct.
So,
No, mental health issue is something which requires attention by everybody.
That is true.
And in fact, I would like to tell you another thing. See, what happens is many a times people come and tell us, I mean, the common public, their friends, relatives come and tell them that, look, I feel I am depressed. I think I need help. Then there are people, even I have seen in our own doctors' fraternity, they discourage them from going to a mental health specialist. They will tell them, hey, don't go to a mental health specialist. He'll put you on sleeping medicines. He'll put you on unnecessary medications. See, these sort of things are the because what I have seen is usually educated people should have less stigma. But what I have realized is more the education, more the stigma. More the higher the societal status, more the stigma. So this should end when it comes to mental health issue. Mental health is an important aspect of our life. That's what I would like to say.
Do you feel that people are scared to be called mad? Like the reason why they are not opening up to mental health issues is because they are scared that they will be called mad.
See, this is the problem. Don't think that only mad people visit a mental health specialist. There is nothing called madness. See, in fact, when it comes to this, I'm reminded of Jiddu Krishnamurti, who says, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted in a profoundly sick society. See, basically, I will tell you, many a times, these sort of, notions, mental illness means madness. See, all of us have some degree of, some element of, problems when it comes to our mind related issues. All of us have. Only thing is, certain people get branded. Then this branding has created a very big, barrier for seeking help. This should go. This is what I feel. I personally request, please don't use this word madness for anybody who is ill. They are all having a medical health issue. All these illnesses, they are like hypertension, diabetes. Okay, they are similar to that. Please never brand anybody as ill. Please never brand anybody as mad. Please never call them lunatics. Even I have seen students referring to a person who is visiting a psychiatrist, calling them is a loony. These sort of issues, these sort of things, I think it should end. Please understand that these illnesses are just like physical illnesses. These illnesses, there is a cause. See, all of you know diabetes occurs because of deficiency of insulin. Similarly, depression occurs because of certain neurochemical changes in the brain. Depression, and then there are illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. All these occur due to some chemical changes in the brain, just like diabetes and hypertension. This is what I would like to tell you. So please remove from your mind these sort of notions that mental illness means madness.
Okay. So, what do you think can be the various causes for for mental health illness? And do you think this entire COVID situation is causing a trigger to the mental health of people?
See, when it comes to this particular situation, what I would like to tell you is one is uncertainty. You see, the cases increase, lockdown, no help may be available. Still, lockdown is being lifted partially, but still we cannot go from one place to another. So, sort of isolation is there. Third thing is, thanks to media and social media, a lot of negative inputs. You open any Facebook page, they talk about Bhayankar Corona. They talk about monstrous rise in Corona. They talk about death of a child due to Corona. So these sort of now uncertainty, isolation, repeated bombarding of the media. Then the fourth one, unknown thing. This virus, even I don't think we doctors, we are aware of what are its special qualities. We still are studying it. So all this has created a lot of stress in our minds. Then added to this is the economic difficulties we are facing. See, in fact, very frankly, what I notice is in my own clientele, we have almost now started seeing our OPDs, outpatients. So I am seeing almost 70% of my previous load. But what I have realized here is many of them do not have jobs. Many of them have been removed from jobs. Many of them who are doing business, their business is not working. They have loans to repay. So all these economic adversities. So if you look at all this is contributing to a huge stress. And that's what I tell my patients. See, all of us are in the same boat. Don't think anybody is better. All of us need to face this. This is a side effect of this pandemic, as well as probably that is the only way we have to face. And probably the more stressed we are, less equipped we will be to face this situation. So yes, this situation is something which is unique, and all of us do require, we need to be aware of our mental health, and we need to think inward, think and strengthen our mental health. This is what I feel.
We had put up a survey like if there is some certain medical condition or a mental health issue you want to talk about or you want to know about. So a lot of people had given their inputs. And so whatever questions that we are discussing about right now also some of them are also questions of people who wanted to know about this topic. Moving forward, do you think drugs and therapy help in this situation? And more specifically, there was someone asking us, do you think antidepressants is a good solution to end mental health issue for a person?
If you are having a clinical depression and if a psychiatrist feels that you need to take antidepressants, yes, antidepressant is a solution. Many a times what happens is people take on their own. In fact, in US, there was a craze for this Prozac long back. In fact, there were this one where it was just like over-the-counter usage. Prozac is an antidepressant. So I don't recommend anybody to, there is no medicine which can make you feel happy. Please understand this. If there was such a medicine, probably if such a medicine comes, he will get a Nobel Award. A medicine which somebody pops up and he becomes happy. Don't think like that. Treatment of depression, it is a deed you sign with the doctor. I would say the deed is, I would use the word deed, and every word has got its own D-E-E-D. So the first D is when you are suffering from depression, first thing is look at your diet. Second is look at your exercise and other activities. Third, first is D, second is E. The next E is be educated about your illness. Last D is drug. So why I want to tell you this is, people with the depression, usually what happens, first thing is your diet. Many a times what happens, people with depression don't eat food properly. They don't eat on time. Then many a times to reduce the stress, they eat unhealthy food. So look at your diet. Then take up some activities, take up exercise. See, exercise releases what is called as endorphins. You start feeling happy. You start feeling a sense of well-being. So make it a point that you have at least 1 hour of exercise. Third is be properly educated about what is depression. And when should you seek professional help? And what are the professional helps available? See, proper psychoeducation about your illness. Proper education about your illness, I would like to tell you, depression is a treatable illness. It is a medical issue. It occurs due to chemical changes in the brain. Mild depression can be managed by counseling, psychotherapy. These are what is called as talk therapies. In fact, in that, there are specialized treatments called as cognitive behavior therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy. Basically, what they do is they attack the thoughts you have. See, many times what you should understand is depression occurs because of certain thinking errors we make. So your therapist will teach you how to identify these thinking errors. Many a times we make some thinking errors, like a person with depression will make something like he will maximize making mountain out of a molehill. Like there is somebody tells him your handwriting is not good, you should improve it. So he keeps on thinking, I think I am a failure, my handwriting is not good. I think in the exams I will fail only because of my handwriting. He has told me. So my teacher has told me. So he has already come till engineering. So when people, when you ask him how did he pass, he says it is only because of luck. I think previously it was only luck which brought me here. I don't
Stop
deserve
believing
to
in themselves. Is that
yes,
what is?
basically they start making lot of thinking errors, or they start filtering, like they have a lot of positive qualities in them, but they don't ever think of those positive qualities. Only negative things start coming into their minds.
Yeah. So do you think the self modes of punishment like suicide, cutting wrists, hanging from a fan, like these have become modes of self punishment these days, and we see so much on the news also. So do you think they might be due to mental health illness? Is that always the reason?
See, I will tell you one thing. The causes of suicide are many. What you should understand is sometimes suicides are impulsive. The impulsive suicides are usually made by adolescents, certain people with abnormal personalities. There are some specific personalities where they suddenly take impulsive decisions. Okay. So these are people who impulsively take decisions. Then there are
They require
sometimes,
mental health treatments. These people who take
I'm sorry.
impulsive decisions, do you think they require mental health treatments?
See, it's very difficult to say. See, many times they don't come for mental health attention because the act would have been completed. Many times, when they don't succeed in completing the suicide, that is the time they come to a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So, what I personally feel is whenever a person is feeling suicidal, the first thing he should think of is he should talk about this to somebody, not just indulge in that act. And suppose somebody hears about a person talking repeatedly of suicide, this particular person who hears about these suicidal intentions, I request them, please consider a evaluation by a mental health specialist. Never say, no, don't give them pep talks. No, how can you do this? I have faced much more difficulties than you. See, I have survived. This will not help. You will not be able to decide whether this particular suicidal idea is an impulsive one or is it due to some illness. So, in fact, there are many illnesses where suicidal ideas do occur. One of them is depression. Another is even schizophrenia. Then in schizophrenia, there are people who hear voices telling them, you jump and commit suicide. You are a useless fellow. You commit suicide. So it is a symptom of schizophrenia which makes them attempt suicide. So these things can be decided only by a psychiatrist. Please understand this. So suicides, anybody talking about suicidal ideas, suicidal attempts, somebody makes a suicidal attempt, I feel it is better you show them to a mental health professional. You request for a consultation, convince this person that it is better we talk to a professional. This is what I would say. And coming to that last D, before we move on to that, because so you be properly educated. The last, this one is drug. The drug will be decided by the professional, whether you need drugs or not. Never decide on your own. Never take a drug because your friend was taking, because this is what happens in students. मेरे hostel mate ले रही थी, so maybe वही लिया, मैंने भी वही लिया. That's what they say. This is not okay. The psychiatrist will decide. He will talk to you, and there are constellation of symptoms by which a psychiatrist comes to conclusion that you are having depression. He doesn't make a conclusion. It is not that just like that somebody is branded depressive. Psychiatrist sits with you. He has got a criteria. We go by what is called as the International Classification of Diseases, ICD, or DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. These manuals have given some criteria. When I talk to the patient, I just ask questions based on these criteria. I listen to his answers. So a person with depression, there are three criteria they say. One is sadness without reason, or sadness due to a particular reason. Because why I am telling you this is, there are many people will say, see, he had a lot of money, he was so rich, why did he commit suicide? Why did he go into depression? See, it is not, there is no need for anybody to be having everything to stay happy. Please understand this. So sadness without reason or with particular reasons, maybe there is an examination failure, or there is a break in a love affair, or there is loss of money, something has occurred, there is sadness, which occurs throughout the day for more than 15 days. The last 2 weeks he repeatedly feels sad. He has lost interest in his day-to-day activities. He has lost interest in watching movies. He has lost interest in communicating to friends. In other words, he has lost interest in what was pleasurable earlier. We use an English word called as anhedonia. So this is the second major criteria. So loss of interest in activities which were pleasurable. The third one is without reason. All medical investigations have been done. Nothing is positive. But patient or the boy feels very tired. There is no other reason. So three of these: pervasive sadness, anhedonia, anergia. In that, at least one symptom should be there. Then there are minor symptoms of depression like hopelessness, helplessness, decreased concentration and attention, decreased self-confidence, decreased sleep. He wakes up repeatedly, or early morning he wakes up and starts thinking. So the sleep is decreased, appetite is decreased very significantly. Say he was earlier eating 4 idlis, now 1 or 2. There is 25 to 50% decrease in appetite. There is loss of weight more than 5 kgs in 1 month with no medical explanations. Person talks repeatedly of guilt, sin. Person complains of loss of interest in sex. So these are certain criteria. These are called minor criteria. In this, at least 4 to 5 should be there. So only then a psychiatrist diagnoses it as depression. So in other words, when I talk about all these criteria, psychiatrist will ask you so many intimate questions. Then only he comes to this diagnosis. He doesn't simply look at a person and there is no way I can look at a person and read, or there is no test. Like blood sugar is high, so you have diabetes. BP is high, you have hypertension. These sort of diagnosis cannot be made in psychiatry. We need to sit with the patient, talk to them. So the drug will be prescribed if the psychiatrist feels counseling will not suffice, or a person is suicidal, or it is likely that the person is having severe depression, person may harm himself. These are the situations where drug will be prescribed by the psychiatrist.
So morning anxiety, we know, is a thing, like it exists. Does morning anxiety happen?
One thing is, especially in depression, there is what is called as a diurnal variation of mood. Early morning, there may be a lot of anxiety symptoms. Okay. And as the day proceeds, they feel better. Okay. Then there are people who are stressed up, and because of the stress, mornings they come to know their heartbeat, their hands, they shiver, they feel tense, and they don't want to go to work, or they feel something untoward may happen while going to work. So yes, but this early morning worsening of mood could again be a part of depression.
But it is not necessarily a cause of depression.
May not be. I would say it is a symptom of depression rather than that causing depression.
Okay.
Okay.
So how there's this other question. How do I figure out if I'm sad or if I'm depressed?
See, one thing is, it is again a subjective feeling. You feel that compared to earlier, my mood is not okay. Usually, whatever my mood is, that is why there are a lot of subjective elements here when you meet a psychiatrist. Unless and until you speak out your mind, it is very difficult. I have seen patients, I ask them, do you feel sad? They say, no, I don't feel sad, I'm okay. Then when we probe further, when when relatives report nowadays she is not so active as she was, then when we ask them some questions to qualify how they feel, then we realize. So it's very difficult. It's a subjective feeling when you compare yourself with what you were few days earlier to now. Now, if you are feeling that that much of what do you say, interest to do things, interest to mix with people, or feeling of happiness that is missing, then you would say, and it is not momentary. It's not that see, morning I felt like this, then some friend came, I talked to them, I felt better, then I went to work, there I felt better. Then evening, I went to a hotel, I was fine. Night when I am alone, then again these sort of things. So it keeps changing. But to say that it is depression, people inward, they would have gone out, they would have mixed with friends, but still inside they know that, look, I was really not enjoying it. I went there, yes, because outsiders will say, no, doctor, with his friend he was quite all right. He doesn't have any depression, doctor. He was talking to them normally. But this person, when I talk to him, he says, no, sir, I was in my own world. But I have no other choice. So I was speaking to him. So the subjective element becomes very important. So subjectively, a feeling of sadness which occurs throughout the day, which is inhibiting your social functioning, occupational functioning, this is where we need to be careful about. We need to report it to your doctor.
Okay. So mental health is such a taboo, especially in a country like India. So the most asked question for us was, when and how can I know that I need to seek professional help?
Yeah. See, one is this suicidal ideas. The first thing, if it is coming into your mind repeatedly, you feel you should attempt suicide, then see any difficulties. Basically, see difficulties you face, which are like, say, unexpected, sudden death of a relative, and you feel that you are not able to cope up with it. It is repeatedly bothering you, and you feel that by talking to your friends, you are not able to what do you say, resolve that grief that has occurred. Then there are times where you are not able to do your work, what is expected of you. This is where this term social and occupational dysfunction comes. So because of these feelings, you are not able to mix with people. Because of these feelings, you are not able to work. So these things indicate that probably you need to consult a professional. And usually what I have seen is another fifth factor is somebody else telling you, look, I think you need some help. Please take it broadly. As I told you, somebody tells us that you need to see a psychiatrist. We suddenly take it very offensively. We think that he has done like, what is he? He's calling me mad. Please don't think like that. See, many illnesses, you do not have insight into what you are doing. Sometimes what happens is, this is a peculiar thing with psychiatric illness. Sometimes you do not know that you are unnecessarily becoming suspicious of people. You do not know that sometimes you are unnecessarily worrying that you are having a disease. See, there is a very peculiar, this one called as hypochondriasis. There are people who worry, like for example, this situation, corona. He goes and does a swab test. Swab test is negative. Then still he worries, I may be having corona. What if I have got corona after the swab test was done? So repeatedly thinks of this. So others tell him, look, it's not so you are anxious about this, then he may get angry. What is this? Every chance now there is a community spread, I may get corona. He is unnecessarily branding me as I am having anxiety. No. This is how people think. But please understand, if somebody tells you that, okay, there is something, like especially somebody who is very close to you, close friend, close relative or a well-wisher, they tell you that, look, you need psychological assessment, or we need to go and meet a professional. Please think about it. Maybe as a point, maybe I do not have an insight about this. This is something which you should realize.
Okay. Yeah. So that was pretty insightful. Ending it on a very positive note. So, what are some of the practices that we can follow to have a good mental health condition?
Okay, it's a very good question. See, basically, my interest is in developing resilience. See, basically, we need to rise to the occasion whenever we are depressed. See, certain things is, one is having a very good social network. Social network doesn't mean your social media network. It means having a good set of friends. Please understand, having a friend with whom I can confide in. In fact, today I was telling one of my friends, we were just chatting on the WhatsApp. I was telling them, a group of my friends, I sometimes feel I am very lucky that I have them, because I can talk to them anything and everything. See, this sort of network is very essential. Probably the first step in developing resilience is this. Please understand this. Having good friends, or friends doesn't mean only friends, relatives, and with whom you can confide. A problem shared is problem half. A problem kept in mind is problem doubled. Please understand this. So this is the first thing. Second thing is, we need to look at ourselves. There is what is called as self-awareness. We need to understand. We need to look at ask ourselves, how are we looking at our health? How are we looking after ourselves? In fact, there is a saying which says, even God helps only those who help themselves. Okay, I am an atheist, but anyway, I am telling you, even God, those who believe in God, even God helps only those who help themselves. You might have seen in the aeroplane, they will always tell you before the oxygen mask, they say, first you put your mask, then try helping others. So what you should understand is, to have a good health, you should have a sound mind can exist in a sound body. Look after your health. Look after your health means have a good diet, good exercise, spend some time in finding out whether you are really looking. If there are any physical health issues, attend to it. Have belief in one doctor. Always talk to that doctor about your medical issues. And as I told you when I was talking about depression, regular exercise, regular physical exercise. It may be walking, cycling, swimming, anything. This physical exercise will see you through, because it improves your mental health also. Basically, it increases the endorphin levels. It improves the feeling of well-being. It improves your physical health. So, exercises. Then, always cultivate a sort of spirituality. I mean, again, I will tell you, spirituality has nothing to do with religion. Develop some concepts, maybe reading some good books. Each one of us, like we have our own philosophies. See, books, maybe spending of course, those of you who feel finding books or reading books is difficult, you can always look for some YouTube videos. YouTube videos on how to develop your resilience, what are the things you can do. Maybe spend some time, say half an hour every day on developing yourself, getting some knowledge about improving your inner strength. Never keep things in your mind. Try to talk it out. Try to find answers from others. Then the next, this one is never have any superstitions, because superstitions increase your stress. Blind beliefs, belief in luck, work hard, be aware that there is always this factor of chance or probability. It is not that every time we work we get good results, but try to work, try to organize your work. Never because it is always easy if we plan out, okay, this is the time we do this. For example, today you contacted me, I told you, see, after 6:30 I'll be free, I can sit and talk. See, better organization reduces your stress. Then learn to say no. See, most of our stress is because we try to please everybody. One who tries to please all pleases none. And many times we take extra work and then we start scolding others. See, because I agree for everything, everybody is dumping on us. So what happens is your work stress increases. Then try to maintain a balance. Try to spend some time with your loved ones. Please understand, it is ultimately your family who are going to cry for you. It is the family who is going to come and help you when you are ill. None of your Facebook friends or Instagram friends or Twitter followers will come. It is basically your family. What has happened is now there is a lot of dependence on the virtual world. Now what is happening is we show off in the virtual world. We take selfies, but we do not have time to sit and talk with each other. We do not give importance to our close relatives, friends. We do not spend time with them. So these are certain things. If you probably sit and think about it, develop a good network, develop a good work-life balance, I think all of us can manage stress.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really helpful. I hope everyone who is going to watch this video will get more insight about mental health issues, how to cope up with it, and how we can improve our mental health conditions every day by taking care of our own selves. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And
Okay,
I really hope more people seek out for professional help and overcome this taboo that seeking out for mental health is not appropriate.